Every athlete, performer, and competitor has to deal with fear. It doesn't matter if you're a race car driver, a ball player, a fighter, or an arm wrestler. Fear is always going to be a factor. Because as you climb higher and higher up the rankings, the mountain, so to speak, the dangers and opponents become greater than what you're used to. There's different kinds of fear. Obviously, jump scares, panic, overwhelming distress, nervousness, but the worst one is the silent killer, the fear that makes you avoid reality, the fear that makes you not look at the scale, at your bank account, at that worrying stuff in your basement that might be black mold. Not only might this fear actually cause your death someday, but it will certainly kill your dreams. It will make you avoid challenges and give up before you even try. Instead, you will rationalize reasons for why it was unlikely to happen or a bad idea. There's two different kinds, there's two different ways, of conquering this fear. Number one is getting used to defeat, failure, and learning to keep going anyway. Welcome back, everyone, to Sports Psychology Sunday and Psychology Every Day. Today, I wanted to show you a training method which I learned from wrestling, and it basically means that you gang up on one person and they have to keep going even if they lose. So it's sort of like King of the Table, but even if the king loses, he has to stay, and he will probably get defeated more and more and more. And this is a great way, I think, to get over the fear of losing while also making perfect practice, because you allow your teammates to expose your weaknesses and hammer away at them. They will show you the scale, they will show you your bank account, and they will make you look at the black mold in the basement and face it all, because it is their job to try their best to defeat you, and they will always go, hit where they know you are the weakest. They will show you your weaknesses, and you will have to deal with their greatest strengths. And if you do this enough times with, anything and everything in life, but also on the arm wrestling table, you will eventually become impregnable and undefeatable. If you keep chasing losses, you will eventually not be able to find them. And this is a great way, I think, to really make a shortcut, make it easier on yourself to face your fears, because not only will you learn that defeat, failure, and stuff like that is a part of becoming great. You have to realize that all the greats in every sport, if we talk about arm wrestling, Devon Larratt, Levan, John Bursenk, and so forth, they have probably lost more times than most people have even arm wrestled. And then I'm still counting people like myself, because even a great ball player or whatever, they will lose close to 50% of their matches. And if you can't face that and accept that, then you're never going to be great. So as you can see in the video, it's getting tougher and tougher, and I was getting hammered from the beginning by my friend Christian, and let me tell you, it's not going to get any better. But after a while, you stop worrying about it and you start just desperately thinking, how can I possibly stop this bleeding? How can I make it better? And that is a super important part of this kind of training, because desperation will breed creativity, and in the meanwhile, your weakest links are getting the most training, and eventually they will no longer be weak, right? So not only do you get the mental advantages, but also the physical ones. And let me tell you, if you do this regularly, then super matches will never make you tired, and you will become much better arm wrestler for it. But also in life, one of the best ways to get more money is to keep looking at your bank account. And one of the best ways to lose weight, if you want to do that, is to look at your scale every day. And of course, you don't want black mold in the basement. That is very, very bad. So if the first advice I have is, getting used to defeat, failure, and learning to keep going anyway, I also want to tell you that this is a very important part when it comes to any sort of grappling, is learning to try your best, but keep going even if it doesn't work. Because if we talk arm wrestling specifics, you might try to get everything, back pressure, pronation, cupping, whatever, but you will almost certainly never get all of them. And it is a very special, important skill to keep applying pressure even when it doesn't work, because all the pressure combined will still be greater than if you lose your pronation and then you stop trying for it. The number two advice that I have, that I learned from powerlifting, and that is an important part of life as well, is becoming so focused on what you do and what you're gonna do that you don't have enough bandwidth to be afraid. Actions and forward thinking will always win. So let me talk about this from a powerlifting perspective. I was off the school, and this, back in the day, this was not the majority, even if it is now. It was basically only me and the Berglund family that talked about perfect practice when it came to powerlifting. And basically what it meant was that every lift should be as perfect as possible, and of course that means close to competition, but also perfect in setup, in explosivity, and in focus, so that you keep practicing at this outer edge of your capability. Not only will this be higher quality training, and it will give you more strength gains, but it will also prepare you to a much better extent for competition. Because when you compete, the more things you have with you in your baggage that is a mental burden, the more nervous you're going to get. The same is true if you're going to hold a speech or whatever. If you try to hold a speech that you have prepared but you don't know it by heart, it is going to be a disaster. Then it is just much better to freestyle or keep practicing until you actually know it by heart, backwards and forwards, right? So in powerlifting, when you have the technique and everything around it, down to a T, it's perfect, then you don't have to think about that, and it won't create a mental burden, and you don't have to be nervous about it. But it is also very important to still have something that will occupy your mind. And for me, that was a reminder both to myself and the people that I coached to actually put in max effort. And that is, it sounds stupid, but it's really not. There's a completely, it's completely different to sort of trying your best 90% and actually going 100% life or death. And you might think that the difference is 10%, because the perception of it is like that. But in my opinion, or in my experience, when it comes to myself and power output, it does something more like 40%. Of course, I'm quite unique in that way, that I'm really not that strong until I actually super duper try hard, where I become much stronger. It's sort of a not that much muscle, but perhaps a ton of central nervous system connections. And that is actually one of the problems that I've had in arm wrestling compared to powerlifting, but because it's sort of hard to get that stability to actually pull through with, you know, that crazy 100%. And it's something that in a future interview, if I ever talk to Todd Silla, I want to discuss with him how he does that, because he has an amazing ability to get that, you know, powerlifting drive sideways, even in such a chaotic situation as the table. But basically, you have to occupy your mind, and, you know, in powerlifting, just using max effort, it's sort of funny because in Swedish we call it ta i, which is a completely different thing. It doesn't exist any good line for it in English, but basically, you know, put your back into it, like actually exert yourself. Do it as hard and fast as possible. For arm wrestling, you know, if every bit of technique is perfect, then perhaps, you know, going as fast as you can off the ready go, you know, creating an explosive hit might be the perfect thing. Got quite a good pump today, as you can see. Yeah, was great. And yes, here is me being terrified, almost frozen in fear, when I was going to create this thumbnail. And I was quite surprised, because as I was younger, I had no fears of literally anything, and especially not heights. Actually, if you look at the building to the right, when I was young, I did a very stupid thing and tried to front flip off the roof and landed on my back. And I'm very happy that I didn't break it or break my neck or whatever. But here I am, terrified of falling, but wanting to get my thumbnail for this video. And, you know, that is what courage is about. It's about conquering your fears, facing your fears, and learning and growing from them. And you have to do this in life, with your scale, with your bank account, with the mold, with your opportunities for work, relationships, whatever, but also in an athletic, you know, context. You have to look directly at what makes you afraid, and not avoid it, but rather take it on, face it, and attack it, because that very spot where you have the most fear is where you're going to grow the most. And in the end, in this, you know, clip, I did fall, as you're going to see soon, but I didn't die. I made it, and I got my thumbnail. And I really think that if you watched so far, for me falling, that is totally worth a like, and to be honest, probably a subscription and comment as well. So that is something that I would very much like. And you know, have a great day, everyone, and I will see you tomorrow.